Well, hello everyone. My name is John Brenneman. I am the president here at MOA Vacations. Thanks everyone for joining us. We are joined today by Brett Dalgard with Viking. We're going to get started in just a second. A couple of things I always like to say at the very beginning is we are recording this webinar. So when this webinar is completed, we will upload it to YouTube and we will email me, excuse me, we will email everyone a link to that email or to that YouTube page so you can rewatch this or share the video at that time. I'm going to talk real quick about MOA Vacations and kind of what makes us unique in the travel agency community and why we should be your travel agency of choice. I'm then going to turn it over to Brett. Brett's going to talk about Viking Ocean, Viking River, Viking Expedition, Viking in general. That will obviously be the meat, so to speak, of today's presentation. And then when Brett is done, we are going to answer all of your questions. Once Brett gets started, I will be answering questions or at least providing commentary as he is giving his presentation. So if you'd like to ask a question, if you put your cursor, your mouse, whatever, at the bottom of the screen, there should be a little menu that pops up. You will see a box with a question mark in it that says Q&A. That is where you will ask the questions. As I mentioned, I will be commenting or answering some of those as we go through, but all of them will be revisited at the end during the Q&A. The webinar is scheduled to be an hour. Depending on how many questions we are, that might be a little bit shorter than that, a little bit longer than that, but we are here to answer all of your questions. So, MOA Vacations, we do have a number of people today that this is your first webinar, so thank you. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope to see you again for future webinars. So MOA Vacations, we are the official travel agency of the Military Officers Association of America. We have worked with MOA members on travel since 1998. So we have a lot of experience with working with MOA members. And one of the things that we do that makes us unique, that I always start out when I talk about us, is we are and we continue to be the only travel agency that does travel in the United States on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. And that means simply what it says. If you have any problems, issues, or concerns either before or during your cruise, you reach out. In almost all instances, you'll talk directly to me. I do the majority of the problem resolution. If I am traveling, hosting a MOA group, on vacation or anything like that, you may talk to Mike Tyrell, our vice president, and he will handle your issues. But we go directly to the top to get these issues resolved as quickly as possible and to your satisfaction. We do guarantee the lowest fare. A few months ago, we did a webinar, Brett and I, and during the Q&A, somebody was asking about is it best to book direct with Viking or through MOA Vacations? Both Brett and I answer that question because they receive emails with all of these offers and everything else. And Brett can confirm this. There are no specials or promotions that Viking has that you can't get through MOA Vacations. So you are always guaranteed to get the lowest price. And then we have free amenities. And you either saw this in the Military Officer Magazine ad or in the email you received. We do have a promotion going on right now. So in addition to the lowest fare, you will also receive a $100 per person onboard credit on any Viking, Ocean, River, or Expedition cruise you book. We will talk more about all of the offers that are going on now, as well as I'm sure Brett will bring up this free amenity as well. And then we do have the opportunity, being MOA's official travel agency, to offer you the opportunity to travel with your fellow MOA members, not only from your local community or your local chapter, if you belong to your local chapter, but MOA members all across the country. And I can tell you that about half the people that contact us to book their travel ask if there is a MOA group available. For example, we'll just pick something nearby, Mississippi River. So members call up and they go, we'd be interested in going to the Mississippi River in 2025. Is there the opportunity? Is there a MOA group? Is there an opportunity to travel with my fellow MOA members? And, and then they may adjust when they want to go to take advantage of that opportunity for that additional camaraderie to spend, to travel with like-minded or your fellow veterans. So with that being said, obviously the majority of what we're all here today is here from Brett. So I'm going to turn it over to Brett. I am going to turn my camera off and mute my computer while Brett is talking, since I will be on answering questions for everybody. And then when Brett gets done, I'm going to jump back on again. I may have a couple of closing comments, and then we're going to get right into the Q&A. One last thing I wanted to mention is everything that we offer, the superior service, the lowest fares, the free amenities, even the opportunity to travel on these MOA groups is extended to not only MOA members, but anyone who travels with you. So any friends or family that you have that you would like to invite to join you, you're absolutely welcome to do it. They will receive everything that you receive as long as they are traveling with you. And so that's why I mentioned one of the very first things I said is if you wanted to, when you receive the link to this webinar, when it's posted to YouTube, you can share it. So let's say we go through this webinar, something catches your eye and say, that would be great to go. I'd love it if my neighbor went. I'd love it if, my family went. I either want to take my kids or siblings or whatever that would be. Absolutely feel free to send them this webinar. And then any pricing, amenities, or anything that you receive, we will extend to anyone traveling with you. There is no limit on the number of people you can share with. In fact, if you had a group of people that wanted to go, Brett and I could set up a group specifically for you and your friends or you and your family. So keep that in mind as you're going through this, as you were kind of seeing and think that would be great of who you might know that you'd like to bring along. So Brett, tell us more about Viking.
John, thank you so very much. So glad to continue to work with you and all of those with MOA. It's so thankful, especially with Veterans Day just occurring. Thank you all for your service. But my name is Brett Dalgard. I've been with Viking a little more than 6 years, most of the time more than 5 years on board vessels, an excursion manager as well as a hotel general manager role. So I know the vessels very, very well, know the level of service. Working on board Ocean, Expedition, as well as Mississippi. I've been able to travel quite a bit on our river ships as well. So hopefully all of the information that I share is quite authentic, giving you a nice overview of what Viking is and why you should travel and travel with John and his team, or just traveling domestically, whether it be with Viking or just getting out and traveling. I really think it's very important to travel, see the world. So I've been very fortunate to do so, and want to kind of entice you to sail with Viking. So as mentioned, Viking is sailing all around the world, and we have river ships, ocean ships, expedition ships close to home, Mississippi, and into the Great Lakes. So I'm going to share a little bit about that, and I could go on for hours and hours covering all 484 ports and all 7 continents, but really going to touch some of the highlights, some of the major differences that Viking has to help you understand and to see why Viking we think is the best option for you. Now, Viking is a little bit different, and we like to share what our differences are. And so we say that we're destination focused, we're culturally enriching, and we're carefully curated. So as we see larger and larger ships come out, that's not what Viking's going for. Viking wants the destination to remain the destination, spending more time in those ports of call, spending overnights, spending lots of time with the destination being just footsteps away. We dock in the heart of those destinations, allowing you to just walk in and see them throughout the day. And as I said, even into the evening. Culturally enriching. We want our guests to not only be able to see and experience, kind of touch the flavors, the tastes, but we bring that on board as well with our entertainment and our lectures. And I'll kind of go over that a little bit more throughout the presentation. And then carefully curated. Viking's very intentional with all of its decision making, whether that be the destinations we sail to, the tours that we plan, the menus, the crew that we hire. Everything is very, very intentional, and you'll see that through and through with the level of service, as well as the word of mouth. And if you know anybody that sailed with Viking, or if you've sailed with Viking, you know that level of service and the experience is very much worth it. Now, I say all of that, and we have our Viking differences, and we also have kind of our philosophy. And I say, I want to to share that Viking uh, might be the best for you, but then it might not. And we're not everything to everyone. And so we do want to make sure that we're very clear with that. We are a destination focused, like minded, enrichment focused. We're no casinos, no children. And so do keep that in mind when you're looking at sailing with Viking. We want you to travel with those like-minded individuals who are focused on the destinations, going out, seeing the ports, exploring, really stepping in and tasting that culture as I shared. Now, it's also a very inclusive product. We're not cheap cruises. We don't want to be cheap cruises, but the value in which we provide is very, very high. Guests continue to come back over and over because we have such high level of service and a very inclusive product that's no nickel and diming. I mentioned I was a general manager, and many of our guests at the end of a voyage have a $0 bill because there's really not upcharges to go on throughout the voyage. Also, we're very efficient. I'll share a little bit about the design of our ships and how we're able to pass value back over to our clients through the design of our ships, through our strong partnerships with airlines, being able to offer very, very good discounts as well as some free airfare on some itineraries. And of course, the last point, I'm a little biased coming from our crew, but I think we hire some of the best crew in the industry. We also take care of our crew very, very well, and we then allow our crew to take care of our guests. So by taking care of our crew, giving them the ability to have smiles on their face every day when they wake up, they're then able to provide those smiles to our guests as well. Now, when talking about that inclusive value, there are so many items that are included with a Viking itinerary. And the first thing being our included excursion in each one of the ports of call. Now, this isn't taking guests to the city center and just dropping them off. This is a guided tour, generally either on our coaches. We have our own branded coaches, beautiful coaches, or a walking tour through the heart of a destination. And all of our guides, our local guides, they're going to have transmitter kind of radios, and each guest will have a receiver that they're able to hear the guide as you're going through the tour. So if it's a walking tour through a downtown area, you're still able to see and experience the local culture, but in one ear, you're able to hear the guide and they're not shouting back at the group as you walk through. If you're in a museum or a cathedral, again, the guide's able to speak to you as you walk about and kind of browse or look at the different artifacts around the museums. Again, able to still hear the guide. And so our included tours take you to some of the most popular parts of the destination. If you just had a few hours, this is what the major sightseeing is going to be with our included tour. Our free Wi-Fi, our bottled water, our major amenities that we have. Again, most itineraries or most ships that you would go on, you would find that these are all upcharges, free beer and wine and soft drinks at lunch and dinner and throughout all of our beverage stations. Those are 24 hours. We really want to make sure, again, it's a very included product. So there's not really nickel and diming. We do have a premium spirits package. If you want to drink Johnny Walker Blue and some of those premium spirits, you're able to purchase that. It's just $25 a day. So again, very, very inclusive and want to take you to the highlighted sites of the destinations. So those UNESCO World Heritage sites are a main point of that. Now, I mentioned the airfare and the great value that we have with many of our guests using our air promotions. Anyone that does travel with our air does have included trainers. We even have connection ambassadors in some of our major airports in Europe. Those are people to help you get through the airports, get from baggage claim to the buses, a little bit of that extra element of surprise when you get off the plane or you get down to baggage claim and you see somebody with a Viking polo on or a jacket holding a clipboard, making it very easy for you to navigate through those airports and to the ship. So again, making it very, very inclusive and taking care of our guests throughout the entire experience. Now, we like to say we're the thinking person's cruise, not the drinking person's cruise. I love talking about this and sharing, but also mentioning you see the picture. Of course, we do serve libations. We've got beautiful wines on board, and our chef is going to share about those wine pairings. And it's not just having the wine, but understanding the region it comes from, why it pairs so well with our menus. So you'll learn a lot about that throughout the itineraries. Now, we provide a lot while on board, but we also provide a lot before you sail. We have a number of elements like Viking.tv. It's a web-based television channel, so you can go to Viking.tv. So you enter in that website, and as you reach it, each day there's a new episode about a different destination, a different culinary experience, whether it be a cooking class or going into behind the scenes of a bakery. We travel all around the world with different episodes highlighting the cultures, the flavors, the tastes, maybe doing some yoga in beautiful settings, again, going behind the scenes. So all of that is available for you as you get ready to sail. Once on board, we have so many elements, whether that bringing on some of the local cuisine, but bringing on local historians and presenters to share more about the destinations, local entertainment that will come on board and maybe do a performance while on board our ship. So we share all of that with you, and things as well as our curated libraries that have the destination focused, and then our like-minded individuals. So we have so many like-minded individuals who are well-traveled and love to travel, who share about other destinations. And many of our guests get to know one another and will continue to sail with others throughout the future. Now, that destination focused dining is part of this as well. So, I mentioned about spending long days in ports of call. Of course, you'll have a chance to go off in the ports and maybe taste some of the flavors. We have wonderful tours that might even go in a taste of tour. But we really want to bring that on board as well. So, our chefs do go out in the ports of call and purchase local items at some of the markets. On board, our menus in the main restaurant are always going to highlight the destination. So the left side of the menu is our always available. So you'll always be able to order, say, a Caesar salad, a chicken, a steak, salmon. All of those are going to be available day to day. But each day on the right side of the menu is going to be destination focused. So we're going to have a soup, an appetizer, a main course, and dessert, all focused on that local destination. So as you go onto our ships, I do recommend going into the restaurant or even into our cafes and trying some of the local cuisine. Of course, out in the ports of call, you can go on those tours, which are the taste of events, or even go on one of the winery tours or cheese tours. A lot of times, our program directors will bring back some of those samples to share with others on board the ship. So, the taste of events also extends onto the vessels. So, each itinerary on our river ships will also have maybe a taste of France, a taste of Bavaria, a taste of Holland. Depending on your itinerary, you'll be able to have a full spread as well as a plated meal, options for you to really, again, get to indulge in that local cuisine. Now, I mentioned some of the things that we are, and I also kind of mentioned a few things that we're not. We are no casinos, no children. Our chairman says he loves his grandchildren and not yours. It's tough to see the others running around, and so we do have that 18 and up. There's plenty of other lines that offer you the experience of traveling with family, and so we do want to have again that destination focused, a little bit more upscale experience while on board our vessels. And so you see that with no umbrella drinks. We don't have photographers chasing you around and then trying to sell you photos for very high prices, art auctions, those types of things. All of our lectures are focused on enrichment, not necessarily selling you diamonds. So we have all of that. And I mentioned all of the things that are included and no upcharges for things, no formal nights. As you see the guests in these pictures, it's very informal, almost a cruise casual or country club casual, a very nice way to sit and relax and enjoy our experiences throughout the world. Now, as you head ashore each day, we are going to offer our included tours as well as some privileged access tours. And all of our tours are going to focus on three different elements, and that's going to be the local life, the working world, and privileged access. And so it kind of breaks it down here. Our local life is really going to highlight, what locals do from day to day, how they enjoy their life, what experiences they have. So that could be going on a bicycle tour along the Rhine River. That could be going to Heidelberg University and seeing the campus and then having lunch with the students. Again, it's understanding and experiencing what life is like along the river or ocean. Our working world is going to take a step then behind the scenes and see why people settled in that region and have continued to live there. So that's going into maybe the Kinderdijk windmills and understanding how those mills keep the cities afloat and sharing about that. Going into a factory or a wine vineyard to see the production of wine. We really want to get you to see those hands-on experiences and get behind the scenes to access what the working world is for those locals. And then our privileged access really is that privileged access. It's going behind the scenes, opening doors that normally are not open to the public. So that's going into the archives of museums. That's the partnerships that we have with places like the Highclere Castle and Downtown Abbey. We're able to go back behind the scenes of Highclere Castle. We're able to go to the Cologne Cathedral, and we have a partnership with the Cologne Cathedral to help with the renovation of their spire. So we allow our guests to go up to the top of the spire of the cathedral, where you can see views of Cologne that no one else can see. Going in with the gatekeeper at the Sistine Chapel, all of these little experiences that are incredible that no one else can really have. And so we really want to allow our guests to do that through our privileged access. And again, it really is privileged. Now, I want to get into our major brands, and the first is going to be our river cruising. And our river cruising has been sailing now for 27 years. And of course, year after year, we do win number one awards. So you can see here Condé Nast. We've also won awards with Travel and Leisure, many of the major publications. And these are awards that we can't pay for. This is based on our guest experience of voting for us and sharing their feedback about how much they love sailing with Viking. And part of that is the design of our vessels, our longships, the design of that front bow. A lot of ships you'll see throughout Europe have kind of a V bow. And so the nautical equipment is put out there, the anchors, and it's not usable space. Whereas our vessel, we're able to share that space with our guests. And so that's our Aquavit Terrace, where we have alfresco dining. Guests are able to enjoy a nice light breakfast out there, or afternoon cocktails, lunch, dinner. All three meals are served outside, as well as there's glass doors to kind of close in part of that space. So really a nice area for our guests to use rather than just a technical location. You also see the floor to ceiling windows throughout the entire vessel. It's all outside staterooms, no inside staterooms on any of our ships. So much public space because of the design of our vessels, and under 200 passengers. So we really want to go with small ship cruising, making you feel intimacy with a high number of crew really taking care of you. Now, the design of all of our ships does kind of follow a Scandinavian design. It's understated elegance. What's luxury to you might be different to someone else. And so we don't want to consider ourselves luxury, but understated elegance. We don't fill our ships with opulence, but we fill them with comfortable, well-appointed furniture and decor. And you'll see that through the Scandinavian design. The winters in Scandinavia can be quite dark. And so they fill their homes with light colored woods and large natural windows. So you see that natural light coming through in all of our public spaces as well as our staterooms. Very well appointed furniture. It's very comfortable. And we really want you to feel at home and comfortable throughout our ships. Now, our staterooms, as mentioned, all of them outside facing, you're able to see the destinations, whether that be with one of our suites with verandas or one of our French balconies. And our standard stateroom has a large picture window. You're able to, again, always see the destinations. But do keep in mind, all of our suites are actual two-room suites. So you'll have a separate living room as well as bedroom on all of our ships with those suites. Now, the main itineraries that you'll find for our riverways are going to be the Rhine and the Danube. So I wanted to highlight the Rhine Getaway, one of our most popular itineraries, sailing from Amsterdam to Basel or Basel to Amsterdam. You can sail in either direction. These riverways are controlled a lot by locks and dams, so the speed of the itinerary is really not jeopardized if you sail in either direction. It's really your choice as to how much time you want to spend in either Amsterdam or Basel before or after the voyage. So many of our guests, though this is an 8-day itinerary, will spend 10 to 12 days in Europe for these trips, as you can spend a few extra days in Amsterdam before or after a voyage. You can head over to some of the neighboring areas, even to Prague. From Basel, you can go to Lake Lucerne and to the Swiss Alps. You can go to Lake Como. You can spend more time there as well. So a great way to enjoy before and after the sailing. But then along the way, you're able to see things. I mentioned Kinderdijk with its beautiful windmills, Cologne and its cathedral, Koblenz and the beautiful castles, Speyer heading over to Heidelberg University, Strasbourg and its beautiful old town, and Breisach as well. before reaching Basel, a town of three different countries that kind of share its culture. And so you really get to take in culture all through long, as well as a little bit of scenic sailing. I mentioned the castles along the way. You get to see that through the scenic sailing, and your program director and the onboard entertainment will provide you with commentary as you travel along the riverway as well. Now, traveling along the next section of river is going to be the Danube. And the Danube, you can sail two different itineraries. We have our Danube Waltz as well as our Romantic Danube. Here, highlighting the Danube Waltz from Passau to Budapest. Again, you can sail in either direction. Same, opportunities for you to spend extra time heading maybe even up to Nuremberg or Prague. That extra time in Budapest, spending time in Budapest at night. It's just a stunning city. So here you have a little bit more of the arts and music. Mozart, Strauss, beautiful art galleries there in Vienna. So it's quite a bit of those arts, the sound of music that you really receive here along the Danube. Our other itinerary does start in Ravensburg rather than Passau, but does sail from Ravensburg to Budapest as well. Now, if you like both of those itineraries, it's very nice that we can put them together in what we call our Grand European Tour, which then travels between the Main-Danube Canal, going from the Rhine River to the Danube. Again, sailing in either directions, controlled by locks. You really get those full amounts of time in each one of those ports of call. Really getting culture, flavor, taste throughout the entire itinerary. Again, each day you'll have that included tour, a 2 to 3 hour highlights of the destination, as well as a chance to go back into the city on your own or to do a more unique or privileged access tour. So each one of the days, we really have those great experiences for you. Now, these riverways are popular throughout the entire year, but one time of the year that they've seen very much a huge population kind of excitement is going to be during the Christmas markets. So the month of December are our Christmas markets. They are on the Rhine, the Danube. They're even into France. So very, very popular. Each one of the ports will have its own markets. In places like Vienna, you'll actually have up to 10 or 12 markets where you're able to go and explore, see and taste some of the local cuisine, the mulled wine or Glühwein. Each different town has its own mugs that you're able to purchase the mug or put a deposit down. You can either keep the mug or return the mug. And it's really a nice way to see again and taste all of those flavors. So Christmas market's very, very popular, completely sold out for this year. So if you are interested, start looking at next year because those do sell out almost a year in advance. So very, very popular itinerary sailing the Christmas markets. Now, not only do we sail on the Rhine and the Danube, we sail into France. We also sail on the Douro River, so into Portugal. So a little bit smaller vessel. This is about 106 guests, so still about at least one crew member for every stateroom. You see the Aquavit Terrace, a very similar design vessel, but sailing from Porto, going all the way up all the way along, and a chance for you even to get into Spain over to Salamanca, Spain. But the trip will actually start in Lisbon. You'll fly into Lisbon, and then you'll have a guided tour heading up to the ship before you board the vessel for a round trip sailing. And so the stunning beauty, again, docking in the hearts of locations, but the natural beauty along this region, tasting some of the wines, seeing some of the music, the dances. It really is a great itinerary. Very, very popular. We've seen the ships, again, these ships do sell out. We've only got 2 ships on our Portugal River. So if you're interested in that, again, do start looking at that early. Another very, very popular itinerary is sailing on the Nile in Egypt. And we've seen so much growth. We continue to add more vessels here. Again, this is kind of a land cruise. So you'll fly into Cairo. You'll have some time seeing some of the museums, some of the history there in Cairo before a charter flight down to Luxor, where you'll board the ship. A stunning vessel. These are not chartered vessels. These are built by Viking in conjunction with a shipyard there in Egypt. We have a very diverse crew. Again, being that we own and operate the vessel, it's absolutely stunning. I do recommend getting on our website, taking a look at this vessel. It's absolutely stunning. And if you're going to sail in Egypt, this is the best way to do it. Even smaller, only 82 guests on this vessel. Again, still each day, a guided tour, a chance for you to see the destinations in the safest possible way. We have altered some of our extensions at the end of the itinerary, obviously not going to the Holy Lands, but we do have some extensions going to Petra, other extensions that even head back to Europe for additional time learning of the Egyptian history and the culture throughout. So much to see and experience. I could talk for hours and hours about all of our itineraries. I mentioned France. We have a number of different itineraries from round trip Paris, some Burgundy trips as well around Bordeaux. Chance for you to really get to see some of that wine culture. France's finest from Avignon to Paris. You actually go between the two riverways. Really, again, so much to see and experience throughout Europe. We are now sailing year round throughout Europe with our Rhine and our Danube sailings. So if you're looking at something a little bit quieter season, we do have sailings in January, February, and March on the Danube as well as the Rhine. So no other ships are sailing at that time. So really a lot of intimacy along that riverway. If you're looking for something a little bit further east, our Vietnam and Cambodia sailing on the Mekong, again, a land cruise. You'll fly in to Cambodia and then board the ship. You'll have a chance to really experience the destination. So something very, very popular. River's a little bit closer to home. It was mentioned earlier, the Mississippi. We have a beautiful ship on the Mississippi, a nice blend of our river ships as well as our ocean ships. So again, all veranda staterooms, very similar to our ocean ships, but the design and inside of the vessel is very much like our European longships. Destinations all along the Mississippi from St. Paul all the way up north, all the way south to New Orleans. 8 different itineraries stopping between in St. Louis, Memphis, new itinerary going from Nashville to Memphis along the Cumberland River as well. So a lot to see. It's closer to home. If you're not looking at traveling all the way to Europe, multiple times in a year, or even as you get a little bit older and not wanting to do those long haul trips all the way to Europe, they can be tough. So closer to home, and whether it be on the Mississippi or even into the Great Lakes, and I'll share about that here in a minute. But really, some great itineraries. So again, so much to see and experience. We had some neat itineraries this year, recognizing the 80th anniversary of D-Day. We have extended that additional time in Normandy for sailings in 2025. So if you're looking at those types of sailings, we do have those going in 25 as well. Those are a round trip Paris. As I mentioned, new itineraries and those new year-round sailings on the Rhine and the Danube, the Mississippi, those new itineraries, as well as the additional ships that we've added on the Nile. So much to see and experience on our riverways. Looking at our ocean ships, still very, very proud of the experience that we're able to provide on our rivers or on our oceans. So we designed our ocean ships based off of that level of service that we provided on our rivers. So still small ships, under 1,000 passengers, but a few more amenities that we're able to provide on our ocean ships. So continually to win award year after year. This is 2 years in a row that we've won awards across the board with Condé Nast and Travel and Leisure, the only brand to do that, and so very proud of that. Now, I mentioned the additional amenities that we're able to provide, whether that be the spa, the fitness center, the theater. All of this is included as part of your experience on board our vessels. 8 different dining options for you. Really want to give you so much included and take care of you. Here's that beautiful spa, the hot baths, the steam room, sauna, the cold plunge. All of that is included with your experience. If you're looking for a deep tissue massage, those are available. Very easy to book those when you're on board. There is a small charge for that, but it is well worth it if you have a nice time on board to enjoy that. So taking care of our guests throughout and also entertaining. And part of that entertainment is not only our cast and our musicians, but also our lecturers. We have resident historians as well as guest lecturers who are on board providing presentations every day. Our resident historian also has office hours, and they're going to be in our museum on board and able to talk to you about the destinations, share about the regions in which you're traveling to, share about the history as well of some of the Scandinavian culture and why Viking is still sailing all around the world. So this is all part of your enrichment and traveling with Viking. Now, I mentioned the different offerings for food and dining on board. Our ocean ships have all 8 of these available for all of our guests. Again, no additional charge. So the main restaurant there where you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. The destination focused menu there in the restaurant. Manfredi's is going to be our Italian themed restaurant. You simply need a reservation, but no additional charge. Mumson's is going to be our Norwegian style deli. There we have our Norwegian waffles in the morning. Afternoon, you can have lunch with open faced sandwiches, split pea soup. Winter Garden, every day we have afternoon tea, a full kind of British style tea with the tiered plates and cakes. We have tea sommeliers who will share about the tea, the service of the tea. So, really a wonderful experience there. Chef's Table is going to be a 7-course gastronomy with wine pairings. So, you're able, again, to enjoy that. There are rotating menus. So, every 3 days, there's a different menu there in Chef's Table. Again, all included with that experience. Simply need a reservation there. Our World Cafe and Aquavit Terrace. This is a kind of cook to order buffet style, but really cook to order stations throughout the World Cafe. Going just outside of the World Cafe, we have our pool grill, which is a little bit lighter fare from chicken wings and burgers. You can have cheesesteaks. There's a lot of kind of, again, those open faced sandwiches, really kind of lighter fare to enjoy by the pool. And then, of course, if you're still hungry, 24-hour room service. Many of our guests enjoy, especially the breakfasts, some alfresco breakfasts out on your own veranda. So that is very, very popular with our room service. Now, the rooms on our ocean ships, very, very well appointed. All of our ships are going to have the same design features. Things like our heated floors, anti-fog mirrors, heated towel racks, these beautiful, well-appointed bathrooms. You see in the photo below one of our staterooms. It's kind of your own sanctuary with the verandas and that space to step outside and enjoy and take in the destinations. This beautiful design. This is our junior suite, our Explorer suite. My apologies. Our Explorer suite, which has that wraparound veranda. You've got tables and chairs, a living room. As I mentioned earlier, all of our staterooms will have the actual 2 rooms for our suites. So you'll see that with all of the space here on our ocean ships. Now moving to our Penthouse Junior Suite, this a divider separating the living room with the bedroom. And then you have that beautiful sitting room outside so to really take in the destinations with either a sliding glass door or a veranda opening door. Here is going to be our penthouse veranda. Lots of space, again, well appointed from, like you see there, the makeup cabinet there built into the desk. All of our staterooms are going to have refrigerators. And I mentioned little things like, our no nickel and diming. You can bring whatever you want on board for drinks. We don't have corkage fees. So if you're out in port of call and you see something that you want to enjoy on board, you can bring that back on board and you can have your own wine or beer or even some cheese and sausage. You can bring that on board to really enjoy in your own or in your stateroom with that refrigerator. So everything, again, very, very well appointed. And then here's our standard veranda stateroom. So so much to enjoy and see through these, again, all outside facing. Now, when I talk about destinations, I could go for hours and hours with our ocean ships as we do sail all around the world. Virtually anywhere you can touch with our oceans, we're able to sail around and seeing those destinations. So Scandinavia and the Mediterranean are kind of the most present. We do sail year round throughout Northern Europe and Scandinavia, as well as the Mediterranean. So when many of the ships then head down to the Caribbean for the winter, our ships will stay there, and we're able to offer into the Northern Lights and seeing those from Norway, or the low season in the Mediterranean, and seeing destinations without the major crowds. Our ships do sail kind of along the coast, so they're not going to just go back and forth from the same port. From Barcelona back to Barcelona, you'll see more of our ships traveling along the coast. So it'll go from Barcelona to Rome. Then the ship will continue from Rome to Venice, from Venice then to Athens. So you can add 8-day itineraries together to make a 15-day or 24-day itinerary. So you're able to grow itineraries and stay on the same ship. And it really is a great way to see the Mediterranean or circumnavigate the British Isles. Really, so much history. We find our guests do like to follow their own maybe heritage, traveling through, and something like the homelands where you can see Scandinavia, but also a chance to stop in Poland and Germany, heading over on a chartered train to Berlin. So much again with our included value. A little bit closer in the Americas, we have North America into Alaska. Our version of the Caribbean is going to be the West Indies and some of the smaller islands. We're not going to, go to the most popular, destinations for cruise ships where you're going to find 6 or 7 cruise ships in one day. We're going to go to the ports of call that are smaller and more boutique, where you get to actually experience the culture. We're going to be away from those big major ships and in places like Dominica, where there's just a small wooden pier where our guests are able to go into the rainforest and meet the guests or meet the locals. We do have tours, of course, that will give you a chance to relax on the beach, but we're also going to send you into cooking classes or photography classes, going out on catamarans with the locals to maybe fish or experience the local life. We also travel through the Panama Canal, a number of different sailings from Fort Lauderdale. Alaska, we have many offerings there, going up with Denali extensions and even with Rocky Mountaineer. So much to see in the Americas, even then heading down to South America with Chilean fjords itineraries and chances to pass through areas like Ushuaia and the Chilean fjords. So very, very popular. Heading a little bit further east, we do have our Asian itineraries, as well as Australia, New Zealand, some new itineraries sailing along the coast of China. So really so much to see and experience. You can travel between there in the French Polynesian Islands and over to Hawaii. The sailings along Australia and New Zealand, very, very popular. Some of my favorite destinations, sailing along, going over to Perth and seeing the natural beauty of Australia. Now, again, I could go on for hours and hours, but I will say one of our most popular is that Viking Homelands. It's a Bergen to Stockholm. One of the things I love to point out is the port of Eidfjord. It looks like you would have to drive that far into Norway, but our ships are small enough, again, to get in to see these destinations. This is where I mentioned the train to Berlin, or a chance to get over and taste the pierogies of Poland. So much to see and experience in something like the Homelands. Our British Isles explorer virtually circumnavigates and sees the United Kingdom, sailing from Bergen to London. You can sail in either direction, and again, getting to see and experience so much of the United Kingdoms. We're really, again, so much wanting to share heritage, stories of culture, history, music. When you stop in Liverpool, some of the modern music history. Of course, the Beatles. Really want to, again, highlight all of that. And then I mentioned that West Indies and all of the small ports of call. These are the Virgin Islands, the U.S. as well as British Virgin Islands, the Saints, really heading all the way down to Barbados. So getting to experience all of that. I mentioned sailing through the Mediterranean. This is one of our most popular itineraries from Barcelona to Rome, getting a little bit of the French Riviera as you travel along from Marseille into Monte Carlo, going to Es and Nice, seeing Livorno and going over to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but also a chance to get into Florence and all of the museums, art and history there. As we sail around the world, there is so much to see, including our world cruises, which I was fortunate enough to work on board our ships, sailing from Miami to London the long way, going all the way around South America, all the way around South Africa, heading back up to London. So getting to see so much. If you have the chance, I do suggest traveling the world. Those are offered also in segments, a little bit shorter versions or segments of those world cruises. these are some of the big things that are introduced now. Again, some of the newer elements I mentioned. Sailing in China, so we have some new itineraries in China going along the coast, as well as some land portions to really highlight that destination. We've gotten more and more itineraries throughout Europe. I mentioned traveling throughout the Mediterranean, new ports of call. We have some new itineraries coming in the new year as well. World cruises, again, you can do the full world cruise up to 180 days, or there are some segments. So if you're interested in a more unique itinerary, you can look at those about 20 to 30-day segments of a world cruise. I talked about the China, and here's a little bit more about the China itineraries. Now, I will say our China itineraries are for the more experienced travelers. There are a few Western travelers in China currently, and so the experience that you get really is unique. This is on a Viking vessel. We have one of our vessels that is now Chinese flagged, and we have Chinese crew that'll really take you through the culture and the experience of China with extensions that go over to the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, the Terracotta Warriors. You're able to really get into to see the heart of the destination. We used to have a sailing along the Yangtze, and so we use those same tour operators and everybody that we have with those relationships to offer that land portion. And guests really are raving about the experience in China. Expedition ships is our newest kind of brand to the Viking fleets. We have two ships, the Viking Octantis as well as the Viking Polaris, again winning awards from day one. So 2 years in a row now, Condé Nast and Travel and Leisure naming our ships number one. It's really an incredible experience to have this award given to us, but it's very understanding in the way that we design these vessels with guest enjoyment and satisfaction in mind. It's a purpose-built vessel, not a vessel that's been changed from a research vessel into a cruise ship, but a cruise ship in mind with that Polar Class 6 designed to go into the heart of destinations, but also having things like our spa and our four different dining venues on this ship. You see all the toys, the Zodiacs, the kayaks, the special operations boats. There's even two submarines on each one of the ships. So four yellow submarines in total on the two vessels. But so much with the design of the ship, with our guest experience in mind, able to take you to the furthest destinations of the Arctic and Antarctica, but even closer to home into the Great Lakes. And so you see that with the design of the ship. Under 400 passengers, 378 guests, more than 250 crew. The design, all outside, facing staterooms. We call this a Nordic balcony on this ship. So the full picture window comes down, and you're able to see the destination. This is going to be our Explorer Suite, which does give you a little bit of a shared large veranda space as well. Again, two-room suite, well appointed throughout. Moving into our Penthouse Junior Suites, again, you're able to close off the two different rooms, sharing that beautiful destination, that well appointed throughout, refrigerators, all the amenities, binoculars, warming closets, or drying closets to help you with the experience in this far destination. Our Nordic Penthouse, again, well appointed, beautiful view of the destination from your stateroom. Great place again to have that nice breakfast. You can open up the large picture window, or you can keep it closed depending on how warm or cold the day is. So, and then our standard deluxe Nordic balcony, again focused on the destination. A beautiful couch to sit and relax. The large bathrooms in all of our staterooms, well appointed. Very nice with those heated floors. So when you come back from an excursion out in Antarctica, you can take off your boots, put them in the warming closet, stand on the nice warm heated floor. Again, steam, beautiful showers, anti-fog mirrors, all the little details that we take care of for our guests. Now, the highlighted itinerary is going to be our Antarctic Explorer. It's going to be a 13-day itinerary. One of my favorite things to point out is days 4 through 10 simply say Antarctica. That's because each itinerary is going to be slightly different depending on the marine life, where you've seen the different animals traveling to. Our expedition leader and captain are going to give you the best experience based on weather and marine life. So you'll change going to different ports depending on that, which has helped us to find new things and discover parts in Antarctica. So recently we found a new colony of penguins, a new island, and our guests were able to be part of that. So really neat experience. The journey will start and end in Buenos Aires, where you then take a charter flight down to Ushuaia to meet the ship, and then setting sail across the Drake Passage again for those 6 days in Antarctica, really taking in the beautiful destination. I mentioned a little bit closer to home, we do have Great Lakes sailing across all five of the Great Lakes, heading through the Welland Canal, coming in through the St. Lawrence Seaway, and then experiencing all five Great Lakes. So whether that be from Toronto to Milwaukee, Milwaukee, Thunder Bay, you really get to see the beautiful Georgian Bay. You get to see the culture and history of Americana in Detroit and Cleveland with some of the music history. Mackinac Island and its well preserved kind of American history. But that natural beauty in the Georgian Bay and Killarney and Okeechobee Lodge, some of these really unique destinations where we're able to take out our zodiacs and kayaks and give you a chance to explore the destination up close. Now, this coming year, we are going to be sailing into the Arctic. So you can sail either from Toronto or from Nuuk into the Arctic. Many sailings go, up to Iceland, and you have the chance to kind of see that. But sailing from Greenland really is much more untouched, and so our guests are very excited to be able to step foot onto places along the Northwest Passage. And so, new sailing very very popular. Another new sailing, which is really neat, is sailing from the Arctic to Antarctica. And so it's a latitudinal world cruise, starting up north, seeing the Arctic, heading all the way south, passing through the Panama Canal, and then reaching down to Antarctica. So very, very unique. As it gets closer, if this doesn't sell out, which I expect it will, there is a chance that there are segments that might become available. But again, very, very popular, seeing both the Arctic as well as Antarctica in a single sailing. So our vessels give you so much experience in those destinations, but also again that comfort. They have the spa, they have the beautiful venues of a theater, the science and research that our guests get to be part of as well. So some of those new itineraries I mentioned and highlighted, heading into the Great Lakes, again very very popular. So that does wrap up all of our different options and itineraries, all of our ships. I do want to mention, as John mentioned at the start, the best possible pricing is going to come from John and his team. Working with a travel advisor does give you so much advantages. You can go on our website, you can see the pricing, and that's going to be the base, the start. Then by reaching out to John and his team, they're able to look and see if there's a promotional code or some sort of sale. We have a lot of sales, whether that be things like a Thanksgiving sale or end of year sale, flash sales that come up, 2 or 3 days. And so they know those promotions. They're able to add value, like the shipboard credit that they have throughout the rest of this month. Really able to be your assistants. They're a wealth of knowledge. They're a trusted resource. I can't speak better words about John and his team. They really do give you that satisfaction guarantee, and they will take care of you if it's while it's on travels, if there's an interruption with your flights, or if it's before and there's ever any questions or concerns, they can reach out to me. Having that extra element really does give you an advantage. John also mentioned groups. It's wonderful to travel with like-minded individuals. I know MOA has a number of different groups already set up, whether that be on the Mississippi, whether that's in the Mediterranean. I know we've done Rhine itineraries, Danube itineraries, into France. So do reach out to see if there is already a group set up. But if you're interested in participating or traveling with others, there's additional savings that you can receive by setting up a group as well. As the group gets larger and larger, we add in more amenities. So do talk to friends, talk to church groups, or maybe your regiment, your class. So you can talk to a number of different people to see if you want to travel together. And of course, there's always sales. I mentioned Thanksgiving sale that's currently going on, but we also have great fall sale with up to free international airfare. It's just a $25 deposit. So do reach out, ask, try to get those best deals. We want you to sail and have that wonderful value. So with that, it kind of wraps everything up from my end. I think we'll have John come back in and we'll do a little bit of question and answer if that's good for you.
John's back in.
All right.
Oh, turn my camera back on. Excellent. We do have some questions, and there's some more coming in now. We'll just start with the ones that came in. Somebody wanted to know all about prices, including airfare, taxes, et cetera, and all the discounts and dates. And my reply to that was their best bet on that would be if you contacted us either via email or phone number, and we'll get you with a Viking expert who will be able to, just let us know where you want to go and when you want to go. Obviously, the more specific you are, the more specific we could be in our response. But if it's, I want to do the Duro in June, we can get back to you, or they can get back to you on that information. Or if it's like, I want to go on Danube Delights, and when is that MOA group departure, or I want to go on Antarctica, and when's that? That's probably the best way to do it. I think you mentioned you have over 400 ports of call. I know you have 100 ships. So obviously, we would be talking for a month if we tried to go through the pricing on everything. Somebody did ask a question about last minute bookings. And I kind of went back with them and said, you already mentioned that November, December, all of the holiday markets cruises are sold out.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys ever do last minute, because you typically are so full in advance. But if they wanted to travel, let's say in the next 3 or 4 months, what is available? We know that holiday markets is not available.
Yeah. So within our fall sale and even into our Thanksgiving sale, there are a few sailings a little bit closer. I know the Treasures of the Rhine and Danube still have a little bit of space. That's January, February, and March. So that's sailing on the riverways. A little bit of space in the Mediterranean uh, throughout those months as well. But our ships do generally sail completely full. And you'll see, talking about pricing, it is month to month, but the pricing will generally continue to go up. But you'll see sometimes promotion of discounted airfare or something to entice last minute sales. But within the 4 to 6 months, gets very limited. Within 4 months, even more limited.
Yeah.
As we do like to entice guests with some of those air promotions as it gets closer in. 4 to 6 months really is the closest in. And again, having the option of stateroom choice as it gets closer. Also, the excursions open up to our clients. So if you're booking last minute, you'll always have our included excursion, but some of those privileged access tours may not be available.
Yeah. Next year will be my 39th year in this industry, and there was a time way, way back where you literally, if you lived in Florida, you could go to the pier and say, do you got any open cabins? And they'd basically, say, hey, we do. And you could go for pennies on the dollar, or at least greatly reduced prices. Almost all the cruise lines now have revenue departments that kind of manage this. And it used to be, we used to do so much of this where they'd come to us and say, oh my goodness, we have a sailing, in 60 days and we've got all this space available. All the companies, and particularly a company as sophisticated as Viking, are so on top of this that you will know that you have a date that needs assistance 9 months, a year in advance, because you know what the booking trends are, and it's like, if this sailing isn't 25% full, a year out, then it's trending behind. And then a lot of times when you see these promotions that are select sailing dates, that is kind of the new kind of last minute special. And a lot of times you'll see dates that are 6 months out, 9 months out, that'll be part of a select sailing date promotion. So last minute isn't last minute like it used to be. So I don't actually know when she was asking last minute sailings, if she was talking 6, 8, 9 months away or 1 or 2 months away. But once again, best bet. We have people here who are experts in Viking who do $1 million a year in Viking booking. So they know this product a lot better than I do. Not as well as Brett, but pretty darn close. So we'll get you with one of them. once again, where and when you want to go, and we'll get you the best deal. And as we said, we have the additional offer, so better than the best deal with that shipboard credit promotion. Somebody asked specifically about the Neptune Hawaii.
The Hawaii sailings. So we do have sailings. They head um, from Vancouver, sailing over to Hawaii. We also have a few that continue from Hawaii into French Polynesia, a little bit longer itineraries, almost as a transition or relocation from the Alaska sailings over to French Polynesia. I have not personally done that itinerary, but in order to sail Hawaii, you do need to go to a foreign port of call. So usually coming back, we do have some of the itineraries will go from LA, stopping in Ensenada, Mexico, before heading back into LA, or there is a sailing that heads from Vancouver. So depending on, generally that's going to be a shoulder from an Alaska sailing, and you know, spending some time. I love Hawaii and French Polynesia and that region, so getting over to see it. But you, in order to sail to Hawaii, you do have to go to a foreign port, and that's where you'd hit either Vancouver or Ensenada.
Yeah, and that going to a foreign port isn't a Viking rule. That's a U.S. regulation. It's the Jones Act. And quick history lesson coming out of War of 1812, when we didn't have enough of a navy to protect ourselves from England, they passed this act called the Jones Act, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And basically, that requires that for a vessel to sail from one U.S. port to another, it either needs to be a U.S. flagged vessel or it needs to go to a foreign port of call. And that's why Viking and all of them, you'll see when they do Hawaii itineraries, if it's like San Diego, let's say San Diego to Hawaii, it'll stop down in Mexico, or they'll leave from like San Francisco or even up in Seattle, and they'll go to Vancouver first. So a lot of us in this industry thinks it's a rule that should be changed, but it's still on the book. So yeah, so if you want to sail from one U.S. city to another U.S. city, which of course would affect you if you're doing Hawaiian Islands, then you're going to need to go to a foreign port. So that's not just a Viking rule. I'll let you talk on this one because somebody's asking about past passenger discounts. Is the Viking past passenger discount applicable to all cruises? I guess that question would be is if you go on a river, does it apply to ocean and expedition, or all, kind of all those different kind of
Yeah,
matches?
so all of our brands promotions are all within Viking. So our past passenger is based on when you've sailed with Viking. So if you've sailed within the last year, it's a higher past passenger discount than if you have not sailed within the last 2 or 3 years. But we do recognize all past passengers. We consider them part of our Explorer Society. I know a lot of times we have promotions which also offer double past passenger. Many guests as well, if they have a sailing coming up, and they have a second sailing, as soon as they go on that first sailing, we can retro and update the pricing to recognize them as a past passenger. So if you have two bookings coming up and the second one doesn't have the full past passenger on there, as soon as you go on the first, the second one can be adjusted for additional savings.
Sounds great. Last question we have so far is, our tips included?
So we do have a gratuities added. You can either prepay for those, or you can do that once on board. A lot of guests do like to do it once on board. You can adjust them to higher or lower. You can bring cash tips to provide to the crew that you think have gone well above and beyond, which is going to be quite a few of them, especially the bartender that knows your name after the first day, your waiter, and it really is a wonderful way. But yeah, you can pick and choose with the shipboard credit that you're offered here. You can apply that towards gratuities as well. So there are gratuities that are automatically added on the sailing, but as I said, you can adjust them higher or lower at your discretion.
And then one last thing, we have more and more people looking now at world cruises. And I think a lot of that is it's on a lot of people's bucket list. And we all know what kind of transpired a few years back. And a lot of people really, the amount of world cruises we have booked in the last couple of years is more than we booked in the 37 years prior to that. Can you kind of test just real quick? We'll end on World Cruises of what's available now and when. The big thing always is people want to jump on these because they fill up really quick.
They
When the
do.
next one's going to be released, if you have an approximate time.
Usually our world cruises are released at the beginning of the year. So coming January, February of next year, hopefully we're releasing our next dates. I, as mentioned earlier, was very fortunate to work on board and as an excursion manager on a world cruise, sailing from Miami all the way to London, going around South America, over to Australia, New Zealand, getting a chance to see Bora Bora, Tahiti, then South Africa, and all of that before heading back north. The intimacy and the way that you're able to see these ports of call. One, it's a nice balance of sea days and port days. You spend full days in those ports of call, getting out to sea, sometimes overnights in those ports of call. Then the next day might be a sea day where you're able to kind of relax and recover from those full days out in the ports. Um, the crew really gets to know you. We try to keep the same crew on board for the majority of the sailing. If there are crew members that go, generally they'll be on for about 2 months. They'll go on vacation. They'll come back and they'll be there before you disembark. So again, you get to know the crew. The crew get to know you. As I said, they'll know your name, about your children, your grandchildren. They'll become very close friends. And sometimes we have to make sure that crew members don't get smuggled home with guests because they
There you
become
go.
so close. But yeah, if there ever is world cruise that's not sold out, as I mentioned, there are some times where we'll break it into about 5 segments, about 25 to 30-day itineraries, and that could be from South America over to Australia and New Zealand, or up to Hong Kong, and different itineraries that you don't really see anywhere else. So the segments of the world cruises and the destinations the world cruises go to are very unique. Robinson Crusoe Island, not many people go there. It's a island of almost nothing. It's where shipwreck Robinson Crusoe went, and we
Yeah.
stop there. We stop at Null Island, which is a buoy at 0 latitude, 0 longitude, just because we can. It's the world cruise, so you're able to experience things that really nobody else can. And I think if
Yeah, it's amazing. As I said, we'll say 4 or 5 years ago, and prior to that, you would always have the World Cruise would come out, and then a few weeks later, then you could do the segments of it. And the last, starting I think in 2023 with the World Cruises when those started up again, 24 and 25, people would announce World Cruises, and they would literally, and this is Viking and a lot of your other cruise lines out there as well, they would sell out in a week or two and never offer any segments. And to the
yeah
point we started telling people, the days of picking which segments you want me to do segment 2 and 3 or however that works, will probably come back at some point. But right now they fill up so quickly. All right. I was going to end on that, but it looks like we have one last question. Are tours offered in the afternoon, evening, or only in the morning? Um, that's going to vary by itinerary. I'll let Brett answer this as well. But typically, what you'll see, if you're talking river, some ports you'll have morning, some you'll have morning and afternoon, and in some ports of call, there may even be something in the evening as well. Ocean cruising, where you're going longer distance between ports, you're more likely going to see very limited evening excursions unless the ship is overnighting in a port of call. But Brett, I'll let you add anything to that.
Yeah, one of the great things with Viking is that we do stay in ports as long as possible. We don't go out in the ocean and just spin in circles. We stay there because we don't have the casino that has to be in international water. So we'll stay overnight. So we do have tours offered morning, afternoons. If it's an afternoon or evening that we can stay in port, we'll offer evening tours going in to restaurants or concerts. The included tour, you will see on our river ships, more of the included tours are going to be offered in the morning, but a lot of times those are offered in the morning and the afternoon. So if you want to go on a boutique tour behind the scenes in the morning, you do still have a chance to do maybe the included panoramic in the afternoon. Very much so on our ocean ships as well. I think almost every day on our ocean ships, you have the option of an included tour in the morning or in the afternoon. So um, it's
Okay.
an advantage of staying long.
Yeah. Okay. So as a reminder, later today you're going to receive a video. Excuse me, you're going to receive an email that will have a link to this video so you can watch it again. I will include our contact information that's on the screen now as well. Always happens. It's human nature. You're going to watch this video. You're not going to think of any questions, and 10 minutes after this answers, or an hour or overnight or something like that, you're going to think of something. So when you get the video, you can watch it again if you'd like. Once again, you can share it with your friends and family. But if you want more information, if you think of questions, give us a call or drop us an email. Talk to one of our Viking experts. If by some chance you ask some question they don't know the answer to, we all have access to Brett. So we can reach out to him and say, oh my goodness, here's a question we've never had before. But I'm going to tell you, that is rare that it happens with some of these Viking experts we have, because they do so much Viking business that most of the time it's not only the training they go through, but it's going to be questions you ask that they've been asked a number of times before. So thanks everybody for coming. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If I guess we don't have another webinar until December, so this is my opportunity to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And Brett, I'm going to turn it over to you for the final word.
Well, as mentioned, travel is incredible, and I hope you get out and travel more. It's eye-opening, and traveling with MOA is going to be incredible for you. So I look forward to seeing you on board our Viking ships in the near future, whether it be river, ocean, or expedition, and continue onwards. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.